Alright, so last video I showed you guys ammo counter and hunger. I fixed the blood pool in the death so it doesn't wait to complete. So I'll show you guys that real fast, and I think I'm going to, for this video, make a loot box where we loot the rifle from instead of having our cheat button, and then that combined with the previous video on how to equip that to your inventory, you now have a lootable box that equips stuff to your inventory, and then that will pretty much work for anything, whether it's food. You know how to make food now just with that button. Okay, so there's that. So yeah, basically using this method you can pretty much copy and paste. It doesn't have to be weapons, it can be armor that raises your stats, it can be food that put up your stats. I haven't really showed you guys quantities, so like picking up food, you can have like 3 or 4 max, but that's very simple. I won't even need to show you guys that. That's all in here. So that's like, if we're just gonna pretend for a second that my gun, let's just say this isn't a rifle, let's just say that's a can of beans. The max can of beans, you just raise that to 3 or 5 or whatever you want. So then you can keep looting them and they'll keep going in your inventory. You can add a value like this to it so you can show how many you have, and you've basically got a fully functional inventory system. So I'll show you that. I'll make a loot box and I'll get rid of this, and once that's complete, I mean, the sky's the limit at that point for you guys. So let's find something that's decent enough to loot. Let's go props. Ammo box? No. We'll just do something. Doesn't have to be anything special. We'll just do that suitcase I just saw. Is that what that was? No, that's a... Never mind. There, I just saw something. We'll do this. Alright. Okay, so I'm just going to create a thing here just to be tidy. Lootable. Or loot, I guess. Drop that in there. I'm going to rename this rifle loot. Alright. And I'm going to duplicate this, so because when we do loot it, I'm going to want this to open up. Something like that. So say you loot it, then that happens. Alright, so we'll close that for now. Alright, so rifle loot. I'm going to create an empty, call it trigger. Alright, so under trigger, we're going to add a box collider or a sphere collider, whatever you prefer. I'm going to make the radius so we got to get fairly close to it, I guess. Something like that. Alright, so because it's a trigger, I'm going to add a trigger on tag enter. That tag being player. Let's just make sure our player has the player tag. Alright, so on tag enter, we are going to set active. We're going to make a new thing under our panel called looting. Sure. And under that, we're going to make an image black 100. Change the width of that to 200 maybe. 300. Yep. And we'll also add a text. No, we won't. So this one will be, so I'm going to make individual buttons under looting. So this one will be attached to our rifle loot. So I'm going to rename or create an empty or game creator UI button text mesh pro. That's going to be under looting. I'm going to rename this rifle loot button. So I know that button is for this rifle loot. Alright. This button is now, I'm going to take the color off the button because we already have the background color. We're going to change the text of that to white. That's centered out. Good, good. I'm going to name this to loot. I'm going to move our loot button down there. Alright, so I'm going to turn off. Wait a minute. Okay. I don't want the image under looting. Okay. I want the image under the button as well. Image black. What happened? What did I do? Okay. Oh, this is a piss up. Alright, delete. Create UI image black 100 width 300. Rename rifle loot button. I'm going to add the button right onto this one. Game creator UI button. And I'm also going to add the text mesh pro to this as well. I guess I can't do that. I'll have to add it under here as a child. Loot. Oh, sorry, I meant to write that here. I didn't really care about the name of it. Okay, it's taking longer than I thought now. Sorry about this. Change the size. Alright, so the rifle button. We'll add +1 rifle. One. Okay, so basically when you walk into this trigger, it's going to set active the rifle button loop. So that's going to be turned off by default. And when that turns on, you press the button, you get 1 rifle. I might add a little message as well. Looting. I'm going to create an empty under looting called message. I'm just going to, yeah. And we're going to create another empty loot. Drag that under loot. Messages, UI, text mesh pro, rifle loot message. So I'm trying to name these all the same, like rifle loot message, rifle loot button, rifle loot. So you know they're all together. This one's going to say +1 rifle. And I want that to be over. No, let's go back to 0. We're just gonna raise that right here, just above the loot button. Alright, so these two are gonna be turned off by default. This button's gonna activate that message. Set active right message to true. This message, I'm gonna give its own trigger. Trigger on enable. We're gonna wait 3 seconds, and then we're gonna set self, or we're gonna disable, or no, set active. Set active to self off. Alright, let's give it a shot. I think I covered everything in that. I didn't open the box though, so we're gonna go to the box. We have the loot button. As you can see, we don't have that, so we're gonna hit loot +1 rifle. Now we have a rifle that we can shoot. And you can also, I'm gonna do a second part, so the box, the option of to loot it goes away for, I don't know, like 300 seconds, so 5 minutes, and then after that it will reset itself, then you can loot it again. It's going to be the same loot every time because haven't learned inventory 2 yet. I do plan on doing that now that GameCreator YouTube channel just dropped a how-to video on it. So if you haven't seen that, check that out if you have it. I will definitely be getting into it. Probably not in this series. I'm going to practice it on my own time, and then when I finally figure that out like I have with stats, I will start a new series. I'm currently making an Endless Runner game too on top of all this. That's why I haven't posted in a week. So yeah, it's hard to keep track of multiple games. So anyways, back to what we were doing. I don't know why I just started ranting. So that works, but not exactly how I want it. So on trigger enter, set loot to true. After we hit the loot button, we get that. I'm going to set active false the trigger. Okay. And I'm also going to set the lid to false and set the other lid to true so it opens. I'm going to rename these. So that's open. This is going to be closed. And open. Alright. And we're going to set a trigger on this. Trigger on enable. Wait. We're going to do this 15 seconds for testing purposes. Set active closed to true and open to false. I'm going to turn the trigger off because I'm going to tie that to the closed. So trigger on enable set active trigger to true. Alright, now this should reset every 15 seconds. Let's give it a shot. And again, I'm sorry if I'm doing this kind of fast, because anyways, loot +1 rifle, it opens. I now have rifle. I mean, it's, if this was a can of food, this would be a lot better because you can stockpile it with weapons. I'm not really planning on stockpiling. Oh, what? Just shit. Alright. I'm gonna raise my health back to full and hunger back to full because we're done with that. We know it works. Alright, so let's loot.